What do you know of it? What do you know about what I like? You don't know nothing. Curious here, there's an old mint building in San Francisco as well. I recall back in my last week looking at the old mint building in Pennsylvania. So what, old mint everywhere, or did I just happen to strike the two? Because I thought there was only mints in Denver and in Pennsylvania. I didn't know San Francisco had their own mint. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe that's why it's the old mint. Designed by Mr. Mullet. Cornerstone was laid in 1870. One of the few important buildings to have survived the Great Fire and earthquake of 1906. A 7-hour battle was waged against the fire to protect the $200 million in gold that was stored in the vaults. What about the rest of the town, sir? Fuck your things. We're only here for the gold. Makes sense. Why are we starting there? That's what this batch, that's where it put me, alright? Put me right here. Chocodero in and all these other things. Well, get on with it. You don't have to be rude, Governor. Anyways, here we are at the here we are at the California Survey, Part 3. No, I'm sorry. Strike that. Give me the line again. Here we are at California Survey, Part 4. We find ourselves here at this delicious-looking patch of whatever this is. Makes me hungry. And this must be photographs of one of the various fires. Oh, this is April 18th, 1906, so this was during the earthquake and the subsequent fires that destroyed 80% of the city. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Wow. Reduced it to ashes. Well, the fire couldn't have done that because the poles here are fine. So I guess an earthquake will do this? Just rubble, huh? Just rubble. But these over here, these are fine. There's San Francisco fire panorama. So this may not even be the earthquake. Oh, it's a panorama, I see. So all these are supposed to go together to show that the trees, alas, while looking like they've had a day, they are upright. And the buildings next to it are... Oh, this one was shorn off at the roof. Like, what is this? Like, just the roof cut off? This is strange. This is a strange way to start. But I never know what I'm going to run into. This one, apparently, only the fireplace remains here. You survivor. You brave Poles, you've survived what stone could not. And this just all very bizarre. What happened here? That's apparently after 1906 at some point. This is a view looking south in San Francisco. This mule survived, thankfully. We're all very grateful. And here are the Ghostbusters. Here to make sure that the rubble isn't too haunted. Contrary to popular belief, this is the fog machine. Party that wasn't to be. Blowing up the 13-story Feline building. Well, clearly this is what's happening. Fighting fires with dynamite seems ridiculous to me. I understand the concept of leveling something so it can't catch fire. A lot of that history just seemed very sketchy to me. This is Telegraph Hill. Really, I don't know why these are in this survey of buildings. It's kind of odd. This is the Wells Fargo Historical Museum. A view from that angle, anyways. This is apparently before the fire. Then it jumps here to, I suppose that was for context. This was a picture taken in 1961 where it seems like the majority of these pictures were taken for California. This is this row of Telegraph Hill houses. It's alleged to have been built in 1852, but this one in particular on the right is the unspoiled frame, oldest house on the street. It's a brick foundation. Most of the others have been refaced, reworked entirely, or rechanged. This one on the right is not. 1852, and the wood's still looking good. I mean, man, that's pretty wild. This is another cluster of houses built in the 1850s and 60s that was untouched by the Great Fire. So I'm assuming they're showing this because the way they led was with the way they burned pictures to give some context. This is allegedly the cable car line, which was built in 1884. So I believe that's before we even had power plants. I'm not sure how this worked, but it's it's actually the steepest railroad in the world, at least in 1961 when this was examined. There was a building on the hill that was called a castle. A 4-story resort, a wooden Gothic castle, that were soon abandoned after construction. 1884, abandoned 15 years later, and the castle burned in 1903. Rather convenient. 16 years after creating possibly the most steep railroad. It had to have been horse-drawn, apparently, at the time, right? That makes no sense. But, guys, this is our history, and it must be true. So, if they say it, treat it just like the news that's on TV today. It's as true as that. Because fake news today is fake history tomorrow. Just imagine what they're going to write about the alleged pandemic. What about the great flu pandemic of every year, sir? Forget about that. Let's talk about the one year we named it something else. Blasphemy. Someone's gonna tell on you. So this row of homes is allegedly built over a long period of time. The 1850s and 60s and the 1930s and 40s. But this part is a pre-1906. So, not everything burned here in the fire, you see. Ain't no fire gonna stop San Francisco. We gonna build back better, bye. And one wonders how stuff like this happens. Strange poles lying in the... No context here. Just a couple of dudes just beating each other up in the middle of the street. Hey, look at these horses. Let's beat their asses. This guy looks like he's choking this one. You ain't getting away from me. Not so fast, Buster. Look at Jasper showing off his big-ass hat. What a douchebag. You, sir, making a mockery of history. Me, sir, making a mockery of everything. This little group here, allegedly built in the 1860s. It's the Yerba Buena Lighthouse, or Goat Island, occupied by the U.S. government. By 1903, there was a torpedo station here, which seems very, very early to have torpedoes, but just in case any of those pesky whomevers came around, because, you know, San Francisco is always under such attack. The Ironworks, San Francisco, 1901. The steam turbines. I mean, look at this. Looks so cool. It's like steampunk technology here. It's just... And I wonder if this survived the... I feel like this almost looks beyond the capacity of people in that era to make. I really do. 1901, but it's what we're told, so, you know... What choice do we have but to just believe it blindly? I mean, I know I've made my decision. The old seawall warehouse. From various different views, you can witness the age of it, the blocking up of the original doorways, some of them. Others get just smaller doorways put inside the bigger doorways, looking very much like the San Quentin prison. Almost no difference other than these amazing wheels, which I'm assuming have something to do with like a dumbwaiter or a elevator? I don't know. This looking as if it was definitely meant for something else. I mean, you get these doorways and stuff back here. It's just going to set up shop inside this building here and sell whatever. Allegedly, the U.S. government bought this property for $335,000 and reconstructed the building as a fireproof 3-story brick U.S. Mint, baby, in 1854. The old building was destroyed in 1874, and the new building was built in 1875. The 4-story pressed brick on granite sills for $101,500, partially destroyed by fire in 1906. Saved the gold, however. Restored as a 1-story building. 9 years later, it was sold into private hands. Now rebuilt as a 1-story brick building. No telling when this picture was taken. The notes do not say. My guess would be not 1961. So I suppose this is an original construction photograph, which would be 1874-ish. Although that wouldn't make sense because it says they bought this building in 1854. So this is either pre-1854, or it's between the time... It's either when they reconstructed it in 1854, or after 1874 when it was razed to the ground and they rebuilt it then to a 4-story building. But I guess the point is, in 1854 or 1874, all of this was apparently here and old. And this was apparently just needed to be rebuilt already. Oh, here we go. Proof that they're laying the bricks, guys. Proof that they did it. Yeah, look at all these bricks. If I were in construction and I said I want bricks delivered, this is exactly how I'd want them delivered. Just dump them anywhere. Just pile them up and dump them anywhere. Who cares? I'm not sure what's going on here and or here. And this wall back here, looking very old. Must be some original doors here. Some symbols that we've seen all around. Of course, the fireplace. Curious window. What a shot. What a shot. And apparently this is that same building. Just with a crappy camera, you know. I like this old vintage fuzzy look, you know. Really, it's just nostalgic. Reminds me of a time that I never knew. This is a house owned by the woman who married Robert Louis Stevenson of Treasure Island fame. I believe that's the only reason why it's on this list. Built in 1900, so I suppose that makes it older than And, I guess we're doing drawings now. As I sat in my study, perplexed, surrounded by the statues of well-endowed women, I stepped away from my spy periscope. Strike that. Give me the line again, repeat it. I took a break from my studies, told the young model to cover himself, and stepped back from my double periscope. Surrounded by my statues of well-endowed women and my amazing library of pornography, I stared at the window and thought, maybe there's more. More to life, more to all of this. As I stared past the stargate constructed by my bare hands, with my servant Alfred standing at the ready, past the lion statues with the creepy boy faces, past the statues of the young boys filleting the gentlemen, past all of that, I thought, this bores me. Yes, of course, I carved a staircase into the rock wall, built a castle for no reason, even put on statues of elks and other assorted characters from my favorite movies, including the Silver Surfer, which I love that one. But today, I felt bored. Bored with the goats, bored with the ocean, bored with everything. And I thought to myself, where's my mummy? Now here, what we have here, is a lesson for you youngsters to take. You see what we're working with here, and you see what we've made. We made this amazing castle-like building with all this ornamentation that your dad couldn't do today, with the basement down here. Maybe the floor plan's a little crooked, okay, but again, look what we're working with here. And this is just for me to show you that you people today, you suck. You're a digression. You are a lesser man than the men that came before you, okay? Now take this to heart and take it up your hole the wrong way. As far the wrong way as you can. This is our legacy. Yours is dirt. And alas, if that were true, we would indeed be a regressive generation. Is that true? Are we regressive, everyone? Or, did you guys not build this with this? Because that seems more probable. What seems more likely to me is that this was already here, and you guys rolled in on this, and no one was around to tell you otherwise, so you just took it, and you claimed that you built it, and life went on from there. That'd be my hot take, because otherwise, I'm supposed to accept the impossible. That you needed this, and built it with the materials were arriving on these things. Little rickety wooden wheels, but you understood how to do this. And this is just for decoration, of course. Just for decoration. Just on a whim. Just oh, yeah, here we are. Some construction photographs to prove it. Oh, yes. And look how non-drawing like they are. Look at that. Clearly, these are the highest of resolution of photographs. Well, where are the men? Where are the workers? This little shovel hole here? What? Who's lifting these blocks? How are you lifting these big blocks? With these? Where's the counterweight? Where's the counterweight on this? Cranes aren't some magic, just a stick and a rope. This is trash. I don't buy it. Here's how we built it, see? Yeah, right. Gotta love these little construction photos that come out later. Yeah. I'm sure. Wow, that looks so realistic. Great job on that. And voila, we're done. Look at that. Look what we made, guys. Look at it. All 5 of us. Oh, don't forget about Homeless Harry over here. He helped, definitely. And this guy, don't forget him. He helped as well. But I want to know, who deserves the raise for piling up all these bricks like this? You did such a masterful job. It's amazing. So what, you're just standing here throwing the bricks down on the wall like this? Just clink, 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 clink? They didn't arrive in pallets. They arrived just like this. You just dumped them on the ground? Wow, color me impressed. And I'd like to know, where are the men that lifted these stones? Because that's amazing. Is it you guys? Crazy. And then close your eyes and blink, and poof, there it is. We did it. We did it, guys. We did it. Oh, no. What happened? Oh, dude. Not sure what this is supposed to be a photograph of, but it looks like a flood, a hurricane. I mean, there's like trash barrels and what appear to be lanterns, maybe even a human hat. But here we are. Boom. The mint. The National Mint. It's done. It's finished. Look at that. Looking like a completely natural photograph. The sky looking totally normal. And while it would appear that this brand new building has some smoke damage coming from the windows, how can that be? It can't be. And yes, of course, looking like something we would build on a whim. Here we are in the 60s. And I see a little mini phoenix. Little mini phoenix. Looks reasonable. Yes, especially next to this column. This door size. Yes, it looks very, very reasonable indeed. The old split floor plan, eh? And, quite an amazing building. Here's the gold that they're receiving. Receiving gold blocks like this. Doesn't look like gold to me, but what do I know? And yeah, this building looks like you guys made it. You made these archways and filled them in, just for kicks. Checker floor, huh? Never seen that before. Wow. The engine room. And that is a hell of an engine. Kind of strange to make this stuff so fancy. Very interesting place. This old mint. Not sure what exactly is going on, but I think it has to do with making money. This is allegedly called the Cobweb Palace. Now before you dismiss this as simply being the dusty attic of your grandmother's winter home, behold the man that is standing right here. Because contrary to what it looks like, this is not your grandmother's dusty attic. This is the Pioneer Cobweb Palace. Established in 1856 by Abe Warner, a former New York City butcher, a famous saloon renowned for the immense festoons of cobwebs, some of them up to 8 feet long, which hung from the ceiling, and its curious collection of walrus tusks, birds, monkeys, and other various curiosities. Located on Lumber Street in San Francisco, not at Wags Wharf. The not is underlined and emboldened. What is this? This guy just kind of like found all this shit, piled it all into one room, and I mean, where do you even drink here? If this is a saloon? Look, even the table has a freaking bird cage on it. There's not even any bar stool. As a former bartender, I find this to be a very distressing image. Not that I don't like chaos. I do, but cobwebs usually imply spiders and old abandoned webbing that has dirt and dust in it, and I just find it to be odd. I suppose it's supposed to be odd. When you opened the place, I wonder, were the cobwebs there? And you just left them? Had to be, right? You didn't intentionally allow spiders to I guess I don't know enough about the place. Here's another picture of it here. And, I mean, is this a bar even? It's called a saloon. I mean, there appear to be some sort of, like, bottles back here, but kind of gross. Originally, there was a sailor's home on Front Street, dedicated, not built, dedicated on February 10th, 1857. However, the building in this photograph was built as the U.S. Marine Hospital before 1868. This is coming from a notation from 1853. It survived the Great Fire, only to be demolished 15 years later, and a new building occupies the site today. It was a 3-story brick with stone foundation and a stone first story. While that is interesting, what the fuck is this? What is all this? Did a train explode here? There's like long railings of metal and mud. And I mean, is this supposed to be after the fire? I mean, it looks rather hazy back there, but San Francisco is a bit foggy already. I don't know what's going on. Who's this drifter? Just taking a whiz over here, Governor. Don't mind me. Just what a strange place, man. What is going on in this city? Get a shack and just a pile of rubbish across the street from this marine hospital? San Francisco just seems like the shadiest place. As far as trusting the historical narrative. Every picture seemingly giving some sort of stop. This allegedly was finished in 1877, a terminus for various steam, cable, and horse car lines, which apparently all magically appeared over 20 to 25 years since the place became actually populated. The new ferry building opened in 1899, finished in 1903, 2-story wooden shed-like structure with a 5-story tower over the center. Here, with a little ball here. It's possible. Doesn't look too ornate, aside from the tower. This is the San Francisco Daily Morning Call, where all the men line up to take a whiz. No, it's kidding. I believe it's a newspaper. Building apparently built in 1850s, early 1850s, burned out but not destroyed in 1859. 2-story with attic. Extremely simple, classical revival. And I believe this is actually more of the historical variety, where it's just because of the nature of the building, not because of the construction itself. If you're going to tear down a billboard, do a good job of it, damn it. Yeah, like this. And just dump your trash anywhere. Why? 'Cause fuck it, that's why. Here we have the first office of the Wells Fargo Company in a small 2-story building about 10 feet north of the rear alley entrance to the giant Wells Fargo. This office was opened in 1852. Wells Fargo were bankers and express agents, 2 services that were combined in various single buildings until 1876. And this is an original daguerreotype photograph based on the clothing. I would guess this would be the 1860s. That's when certain articles were popularized. And as usual, a rather dubious, shady-looking lot. Don't mind us just milling about, thinking of ways to take your money. Methods they would perfect over the next 2 centuries. This is the 4th location within the same of the Wells Fargo Bank within San Francisco. After the separation of the banking business from the express business in 1876, they moved from the granite block and they were installed into this new building here. A new building here, which was destroyed in 1906 fire. Features of early Renaissance and of the 16th century with the columns, the finials, and of course, the basement, dug by people who rode this to the job site, constructed by people who had not yet paved the roads, and then of course, couldn't even keep it around longer than 26 years or so. Well done. Well done, America. This is Spreckles Mansion, built in 1913 by a man named George Applegarth. Applegarth is an architect that has been credited with several buildings in this style throughout the early 1900s. This is a mansion that was built for the Spreckle family in 1913, Adolf Spreckle to be exact. One of the few truly grand residences in this town, which has always prided itself on social elegance. However, it does not match the destroyed wooden palaces of the 19th century. Unusually large city lot, virtually half a block. Choice real estate. I would point out the strange fact that the road seems to be constructed higher than the foundation at some points. And indeed, it is confirmed that it is 3 floors and a basement. The main floor is on the 2nd level, marked by French doors. So here. French Baroque style, allegedly. Mr. Spreckles was a California businessman who ran the Spreckles Sugar Company and donated the California Palace of the Legion of Honor Art Museum to San Francisco in 1924. His wife was called the great-grandmother of San Francisco. His father, Klaus Spreckles, the founder, passed in 1906, and Mr. Adolf Spreckles became the president. In 1884, he shot the man who co-founded the San Francisco Chronicle because of an article in the newspaper suggesting his sugar company defrauded its shareholders. He pleaded temporary insanity and was acquitted, as is the result that the elite often get. He was also president of the San Francisco Railway, vice president of the Western Sugar Company and the Oceanic Steamship Company, and a director of the Sunset Monarch Company. And he was San Francisco Park Commissioner and was heavily involved in the development of Golden Gate Park, and Spreckles Lake would be named after him. And of course, Spreckles Organ Pavilion in San Diego's Balboa Parks, housing the largest outdoor pipe organ in the world, was also built by Spreckles and his brother John. And he was also fond of horse racing and bred a number of winning horses. This home is most recently the home of the novelist Danielle Steele. Imagine that. Danielle Steele living here, the best-selling author alive. The woman who, we're told, since 1947 has written 190 books. 140 of them being novels, producing several books a year, and all of them have been bestsellers, despite a resounding lack of critical acclaim. Her books often involve rich families facing a crisis threatened by dark elements such as prison, fraud, blackmail, and suicide. She's obviously in league with the New York Times, who controls the bestsellers list, controls where the books are placed, and no one writes that many books. Nobody. I find that entire story to be completely dubious, and of course she would live here. The elite take care of their own. Make no mistake. Totally necessary. What are these, two babies hanging out underneath like a demon face? I don't like it. Have a doorknob! And here we have the Whittier Mansion. Built between 1894 and 1896, a massive Arizona sandstone building, sold to the German Reich in 1941 as a San Francisco consulate. Seized by the Attorney General during World War II, auctioned in 1950, changed hands a few years, ended up in the California Historical Society. One of the few major houses of the later 19th century to survive to the present day. Richardsonian Romanesque, it's called, but built in 1895, we're told. And that's what the doorknob looks like. I know you were burning with curiosity about that. The inside looking very lavish. I mean, I'd say downright glorious. Not the kind of fireplace you'd want to burn logs in. Not the kind of fireplace they did burn logs in, from the looks of things. Or does she have a tentacle coming up the side of her? What is this strange serpent all around her? A lion with breasts. I know a breast when I see it. I've seen one once. That's how, in case you were wondering. As a child, I looked in the encyclopedia under the word breast. It said, see mammary glands. And so I saw mammary glands. I did as I was told. What could I do? I was innocent. How was I to know the encyclopedia was leading me down a path of moral bankruptcy? Well, I've changed my tune, America. Now, buildings are my pornography. And just look at it. Just look at this building. My God, what I wouldn't do for that ceiling. And as usual, we're going to make the rounds here, showing off the fireplaces everywhere. And I don't know, is this the sink, or is this the sink, or is this the toilet? Or one would hate to make that mistake. Oh, but don't mind us, the humble town of San Francisco. Nothing to see here, just a few lowly peasants on a hill overlooking our shacks. Pay no mind to all those ships abandoned in the harbor. Pay no mind at all, really, to these piles of mud everywhere. Pay no mind to the marching bands and the 5-story buildings that we built overnight. And actually, this picture, there's a different picture here that I think I've shown that is much grander. The buildings are much larger. What is this? What is all this fog? What are you doing then? Are you trying to mask out history in front of our eyes, like Back to the Future, when people die that are in the photographs, they just vanish away? It's like, oh my God, history is disappearing right before our eyes. What do we do? Yeah, the map of San Francisco, and what does it say? Can't even read that. Probably by design. But regardless, if it's any time in the 1800s, I mean, it's ridiculous. This grid, this precise, and yep, I'm sure, on the most hilliest place on Earth, we're gonna have to put this grid. Yo. Right. U.S. Coast Survey, City of San Francisco. Just impossible. Impossible. And what have we here? Don't mind these old boats just tipping over and rotting away. We're gonna do this. What are we building? Piers out here? Well, yeah, if your boat sinks, you own the land, so therefore you can build a pier around it. What kind of sense does that make? Hogwash, I say. Poppycock. Look at these old pictures. This is what they tell you it's like. But really, it's like this. And these pictures are so, I feel like they're so intentionally such shit quality. I don't want you to really be able to see up close. Here's a map. Blah. What happened to it? Did you spill your coffee all over it? No, we just did that vignette sort of effect, because we didn't want people to see the details. And shiesty fookers. Park that thing anyway. Check it, never mind, we're gonna go to a different house. That fateful day that a large metal bar fell right onto the roof of the smokehouse. Jerry, my chickens! Hey, mister, we see you. We told you, get the fuck off our property, or we're calling the po-po. What's this? There she was. He snapped a few photographs of the desired subject. She had no idea where he was, though. It seemed that she could smell him before that could happen. He scurried off into the night. That's the story of the photographer from California. Historic American Building Survey, number 4. Thank you. Thank you very much. A brick church. Wait, it seems like you step away from San Francisco, you just immediately start getting more honest. This is Harmony Grove Methodist Church, and there is zero information about it. Why, everything we know about it can be derived right from the name. Brick church. Meanwhile, While San Francisco is constructing massive Richardsonian Romanesque French Baroque Renaissance buildings, despite the ravages of 7 fires and an earthquake, and a population consistently striving with Chinese and Russian immigrants for control. Meanwhile, in San Joaquin County, we got this. Just a few sticks. Address unknown. Probably built during the 3rd quarter of the 19th century. This here photograph is from 1876, and it's a photocopy of it, and that's all we know. The photo caption reads, "Street scene of buildings, Stockton, California." Totally adds up. Totally makes sense. This is the judge's house, looking quite normal. And this here's the firehouse in Eureka, built in 1866. I don't know what they're trying to white out here. There's like a pirate ship mast back here? Who the hell knows? Somebody teepeed it, too. And here is the Undertaker. And here's the other photograph from 1876, looking exactly like firemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seems about right. 13, 14. The 14 helpers. You there. Pose like you're about to say yeehaw. You guys in the front row, please look as shady as possible. You, look casual. You, hold the dog still. You guys, blend in with the background. Everyone ready? Stay still, horsey. Look at the birdie. Poof, poof, poof. And presto! The most amazing Baroque church in all the world. Well, actually, this is just the old First Baptist Church. This is a photocopy of an 1880s photo. Yep, that looks about right. Looking like something they could easily build. And notice this is actually a 4-pronged tower, as we've discussed, with a steeple. So that leads to the argument that the steeples were on all of them. Perhaps they got removed. The ones we see without them are just steeple removed. And actually, sometimes I think the steeple's inside. You know, like brought inside or something, and they use it for something else, whatever the church thing's called. Sorry, I'm not a Catholic churchgoer, or any churchgoer for that matter, so I know not the terminology. But what I do know is, this is a ridiculous proposition that this is built in Well, they claim 1860, and then it was demolished, by the way. No demolished date given, just demolished. That's all you need to know. Built 1860, demolished. God, get out of our business. All you need to know is, it was, and then it wasn't. Okay? Okay, moving on. To the Heart and Thrift Store. We wanted to be Heart and Soul Store, but that was taken. Some stupid poet. Built in 1860. That's all we know. Next, drugs and medicine. Of course. What more can a man need? Why, nothing in these dark times. This is the IOOF building. Photographed in 1925. Built in 1853. Status unknown. But it's called the IOOF building because it stands for the International Order of Oddfellows. Which, if you know anything about that order, they are, let's say, bedfellows with the Masons of freedom. And always their buildings are historic and usually fancier than this. This is a bit run down. I would like to actually go back in time to 2 seconds ago to here, the Heart and Thrift Store. A bit of information I forgot. This is described as being designed in a vernacular interpretation of the Renaissance revival, whatever that means. Built in 1869, one of the oldest buildings in Stockton, although it's gone substantial alterations, the building remains significant because of its extreme age and association with the early development of commerce in Stockton. The original owners, Hart and E.E. Thrift, were 2 of Stockton's commercial pioneers and regarded as highly respected gentlemen. Indeed, the grocery store carried a choice lot of groceries and provisions. So it's not a thrift store. It's owned by a guy named Thrift. I think that's true of all thrift stores everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, I don't know if the thrift stores got their name that way. Like he's the first thrift store owner or what, you know? I don't know, man. These are the hard-hitting questions that journalists should be asking. Moving on. Globe Ironworks. Okay, so you got this built, you know, and you got this built. Same people, same era, same everything. And if you buy that, well, I'm sorry. Well, that's not fair. This is called the Mansion House, although it doesn't look like a house to me. It was built in 1875. This photograph is from 1885, and it's demolished. It's demolished. I didn't want to tell you, but it is. I think that I want to go on record and say that the Mansion House is just a very, very original creative name, and it sucks to lose something named so amazing. Like, so amazing. Masonic Temple and Parker Store, R.P. Parker, not to be confused with the Peter Parkers. Those came later. Built in 1870, allegedly. Photographed 1876. So it's amazing how we were able to build such amazing things in 1876. Like, I'm just blown away by how cool we used to be. Either we have seriously digressed, you know, or it's not true, Here's a theater. Yeah, that's right. This is a theater that the ravages of time have really affected the bottom layer, but the top layer stays pristine. It's like, they're like, if only we could figure out a way to get up there, we'd destroy that up too. We'd muddy it all up. Those crooks, those Bailey and Bagleys. Stockton Loan and Savings Bank, Sterling Corner. Built in 1868, demolished in 1960. And sadly, as legend has it, these people were still in it waving hello at the photographer when it was demolished. So, a really terrible incident that I completely made up. This looks normal. Let's see. Level? Yeah. Level enough. My line wasn't even level. An optical illusion, Michael. Being level is an illusion. Ugh. It's all an illusion. Methinks this one's taller. I don't know. Who can tell with these amazingly white skies? The world used to be just so clear and white in the background, you know? It's like a blinding light. This is clearly the Philadelphia house. If you can't read, then I just read it for you. It's in Stockton. The information reads built probably 1850s. The photograph was in 1875. I know we've covered some of these little properties before. We kind of flew through them. I'm going back and being a little bit thorough and providing a little bit more information since somebody came on here once saying about, man, you don't even know what anything is. You're just going through pictures saying you don't know what anything is. So here's me flexing my knowledge, all right, punk. I can read supplemental data as well as any man. What? Bring me any man, I'll prove it. This here's the San Joaquin courthouse, built in 1854 with a completely necessary old world housing, which contains nothing and was built for no reason. We just liked spending lots of money here in the rich city of Stockton in the progressive year of 1854, when we had columns like this back here, and every home looked like a Romanesque revival orgy of style. Back when people were civilized, back when people had tact, class. They weren't the bobbling fools today, wandering around, checking for their trending status or whatever. Bunch of worthless babies. The thing is, guys, he's kind of right. There we are. Another view of the nothing, the nonsense. It meant nothing, should have never been here. Ignore it. Don't focus on it. Ask no questions about it. It's dead to you. And, you want to tell me how this thing works? And, here are some piles of lumber to help construct this building, which is nothing but stone. And all the townsfolk gathered around here and here and here and here and here to look at the cameraman who was apparently standing on the top of one of these when he took this picture. That's my hot take. What the official line is, E. Myers and Son, architects, built this in 1890. And this is an 1890 construction photo. Taken from, I don't know, and organized by, I don't know. Somebody had to go knocking door to door and tell everyone to get out here and pose. Unless those are not people. They look like people to me. Fakery, witchcraft, orc, devilry. Oh, here's our nice 14 helpers. There they are. Hey, guys. Anywhere bullshit is, I know you guys are going to be around, right? Nothing gets past you. Our true forefathers, our 14 fathers. This one, pay no mind to this here or this here. It's not 1601. It's the new number. 1640. Well, let's just go see what the old one had to say. So when you look up this number, it tells you these are photocopies of exterior photographs showing views of buildings and street scenes dating from 1850 to 1920. 70-year span, that's quite impressive. And the picture matches. Looking up the new number, we're told it's the Weber Avenue and California Street San Joaquin Firehouse, which was built in 1869 and is now demolished. And the photograph was taken in 1880. Probably that one. Oh, it's the firehouse. We've seen this before. Look, he's still out there after all these years. But who am I to say? I'm just some dumbass that wandered in off the street, right? Pay no mind to these. They mean nothing. Captain Smith's house, built in 1870. Looking like this part was added on. They had to make this stoop just to match, because this has a subterranean level. At my reckless speculation, what do you guys got? Frank Stewart Library, of course, it's a library. Looking quite lovely. Built in 1870, modernized 1940s, demolished. Photograph is from 1876. Wow. The caption on this one says, a large pile of shit and manure and rubbish right in front of a dirty shack. It says photograph taken in 2022. Oh, how about that? San Francisco's really done well for itself. Yep, we just started out super humble, I guess. Then we gradually just got a little more fancy with our little finials and whatnot. Jimmy brought some books home from Europe. We learned how to make fancy light posts and all that. Put them little cornices in our buildings. Made these fancy light posts and a little bit of stuff what looked like towers and all that. We ain't figured out how to pave them roads though for some time. Fucked around and built a firehouse that was quite a beauty. I know it looked like a castle, but it weren't. Then we got us here some electricity. Still couldn't figure out them roads though. But at some point we dug up some trolley tracks. Ain't got no trolley yet, but it came later. Then one day we woke up and shit was looking pretty good. Despite the fact that, everything was underwater. We had to stand up on the rooftops because everything got flooded. Thought we was tripping, but we weren't. This whole damn place was underwater. Why, look over here. When we dug it all up, though, finally got them trains working, it looked like a damn fantasy land. Nobody could believe it. We built ourselves a church. We did all this with just our bare hands and some donkeys. The end. I love a good fiction. This looking not very abandoned, nor this. This is the captain's house. Captain Smith? No, not Captain Smith, you dumbass, the other captain. Captain Weber. That's right. Built in 1850 by the founder of Stockton. Flooding caused the family to move out in 1893, which the house deteriorated and finally burned in 1917, of course. Flooded and burned. Naturally. Here's a drawing of another place that we heard about once. And this here's Governor Bud's house. This is a photocopy of an undated lithograph, built in the 1850s. Yes, sir. This beautiful home is a great example, built in 1865. so later than those other castles. And this is a good example of a vernacular pioneer cottage. Surprising? Well, you'll be surprised to know that it's since been demolished. I'm so glad they included that. Aren't you? This is a Christian church in Stockton, built in 1860. It's demolished. We found out it was a Christian church, see? And seeing as how this here's California, we smashed them fucking windows. Needless to say, it's long since been demolished. Just like anything Christian in this fair state. Why, if California were a state, we would have done demolished our own genitals and become non-binary. Dr. Clark's house, built in 1858, demolished in 1901. Much too castle-like for our tastes. Who are you, the gardener? Nah, pendejo, I'm the doctor. So sorry. It turns out that the cameraman is extremely racist. No, I'm not. It turns out the cameraman is extremely stupid. These kind of homes are really not worth stopping, but I like the contrast. This is built in 1852, we're told, and it's demolished. And the fact that we would have this built around the same time as we built some of those monsters in San Francisco, it just makes no sense. Also, that must be the world's biggest sconce or light. I don't even understand how it's even attached to the house. And also, this horse has no head. I'm going on break. This is Jack Tone Road in the Jack Tone House, built in 1873. This photo was taken in 1925. It looks long abandoned. And for Spanish speakers, Jack Tone is very funny. I just can't help but wonder about the origin of that name. But moving on. San Joaquin County, more of the same. Ooh, Lucky Lager. That sounds great. Great suggestion, because I've had just about all the bullshit I can take for one day. And clearly, this here Historic American Building Survey in California is full of such bullshit. Mixed with the nice, plain... Wait, that guy is writing shit down on a clipboard. Clipboards mean federales! Bring out your freaking shotguns. Federales going on my back for it. Ow, thanks. Oh, that looks nice. When did you guys get that done? Hey, little girl, you lost? What is this, Pennsylvania? Can't believe your children outside. Like, that's enough for one day. I'll see you soon.